Kurt Vonnegut Jr. was born November 11th, 1922, into a family of German descent. It was a fairly wealthy family until the Prohibition and the Great Depression. His mother's family owned a brewery, which the Prohibition forced to shut down, and the Great Depression took a toll on his father's architecture firm, which was also owned by his grandfather. They were both architects. Vonnegut received student deferment from World War II to attend Cornell University. This did not last long though, because by the following January he had dropped out. The issue is that he had poor grades, and he had wrote a satirical article for the Cornell Daily newspaper, for the Cornell Daily Sun, and the school had placed him on academic probation due to this. He would drop out in January, and instead of waiting to be drafted, he enlisted in the army. Vonnegut was destined for Dresden. His unit was almost immediately captured when he arrived, and then they had several different places that they stopped before Germany, but he was eventually transferred to Dresden, the place of the Dresden firebombing. This would be the inspiration for his most well-known novel, Slaughterhouse 5. He would write about his experience at Dresden. Anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000 people died at Dresden, and the numbers vary unclear. The History.com says 135,000. I believe Kurt himself said it was somewhere upwards of 250,000. So the number is unclear. But Kurt recalled in Armageddon in retrospect that after the firebombing they had German soldiers and also people who were captured. He never was, but others were, taking the bodies out of the rubble, sometimes just limbs, sometimes just stray body parts. They would take them out of the rubble, and there were so many dead bodies that they had to start burning them in the streets. The war was a very traumatic experience for Vonnegut. He never actually killed anyone, but when he came back, he was expected to have murdered many Nazis, and it was something he was supposed to boast about, but it made him sad. He was going through what seemed like a very real state of depression, although he was never diagnosed. His son Mark would later say in Man Without a Country that he never believed his father was really depressed until around the last 5 years of his life. Because by that point, he had pretty much given up on humanity, and that's the majority of what Man Without a Country is about. His inability to cope with where the world had went. After the war, Vonnegut married and attended the University of Chicago. He went for his master's in anthropology. He wrote about the religious movement of the ghost dance for Native Americans. It was not well received at all, and he ended up losing his chance at a master's degree. His sister died 2 days after her husband, and to add to his family, 4 of her children onto his 3. She had cancer, and her husband died 2 days before that in a train accident. So he had to support them. He spent the majority of the way he supported them was, one, he got a job by lying and saying that he did get his anthropology degree, and another was through his writing. He would write articles for companies, he would write short stories that he would sell to magazines, just many different things. He would eventually publish his first novel, Player Piano. But that got him some attention, that got him some money, but it wasn't a huge success. He didn't really have a huge success until Cat's Cradle, which is one of his largest successes. Slaughterhouse would be his most famous novel, a tale largely based on his experience at Dresden. His next huge commercial success was Breakfast of Champions. Two of the things I drew from the most are his two essay collections, Armageddon in Retrospect and Man Without a Country. They're both very satirical in nature. A lot of the time he's just trying to crack jokes. And he actually, I would say around, I think it was the 70s, that he was teaching for Iowa University for the Writers' Workshop, a very prestigious position. Kurt would die April 11th, 2007, due to brain injuries from a fall he had. It wasn't much before that he had jokingly claimed that he was going to sue Pall Mall for not killing him quick enough.